Hello, fellow Wordfasters. We're happy to have you all here today. It's great that we can be together to have this training. Reginaldo will be presenting it today. This session will be recorded so that you can watch it again. So we'll have it on our YouTube channel after that. And now, just remember, so you have the opportunity to ask questions. As this is a short session, we'll take some of them at the end. And sure, if you have a doubt or if you want to reach out, you can type your question. You have a question box that you can use. You can also use the reactions. And if you have a massive issue with your WordFast installation, you are welcome to then contact the hotline, and you will be received by Reginaldo, maybe, or anybody else that is talking on the hotline. So I will now start the recording, and we will begin our session. Okay, so let me introduce Reginaldo, which will be presenting this session today. So Reginaldo Francisco is an English to Italian and French to Portuguese translator working with literary and technical texts. He has translated several works, including Jules Verne's Around the World in 80 Days and Italian writer Vamba's classics children's book, Il Giornalino di Gian Burrasca. He has a bachelor's degree in translation from the São Paulo State University, UNESP, and a master's in translation studies from the Federal University of Santa Catarina in Brazil. Reginaldo is also a Wordfast hotliner. You may have already reached out to him. And he is also a trainer and has been providing on-site and online training for translators since 2009. So now we will be seeing this session now, which will show us a classic workflow in Wordfast Pro. So now I'm going to mute myself and give the floor to Reginaldo.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for attending. Philip, I think you have to give me the powers of presenting. I'm not able to share my screen.
Sure, let me
Uh,
get on.
okay. Well, while Philip enables my sharing. Okay, full this one.
Yes, we can see
Okay,
your screen now.
and good. Uh, right, just 1 second so that I open the. Okay. Uh, right. Thank you for attending. And in this session, I thought of demonstrating how to do the most basic things in WordFast Pro to function as a framework for learning how to use the program. The idea is if you have never used WordFast Pro, you should first learn how to translate with it from beginning to end with the minimum functionalities and the most important functionalities, so that you already start working with the program, and then little by little will be learning other functionalities that might work for you, that might be interesting for you. Because as any software, WordFast Pro has zillions of possibilities. and not all of them will apply to you. And if you try to deeply learn any program before starting to use it, you will lose a lot of time and effort. So this is the idea. I will demonstrate how to pick a document, translate it in Wordfast Pro using translation memories, glossaries, which are the core functionalities of any CAT tools. And inescapably nowadays, machine translation. I will show how you can work with machine translation on it, and some quality assurance features. But we'll do it as an overview first. Then we'll go from beginning to end very quickly, and then I will mention how you can learn other things and find other stuff that might be interesting for your work. And so let's go. This is the first. This is the interface of WordFast Pro, and this is the first screen you see when you open it for the first time. This is the project list view. Here you're going to see the list of your projects, but the first time you open it, it's blank. Then you can create your first project by clicking Create Project, or you can just drag and drop the file you want to translate into WordFast interface, and then you will have the same dialog box, the project creation dialog box. Just for you to understand, this is the file I am translating, a Word document with uh, several different examples of formatting, bold and lists and images inserted in the middle of it. And then I'm dragging and dropping into WordFast Pro, and then it creates a project with this document for translation. I could drag and drop several documents, several files of different applications, and it would create a project to translate all of them. The project name is something that you name according to your preferences. You can give the client's name, the date. You will have your own rules, your own uh, criteria. I will put go to webinar GTW demo. And then it has a default folder to save projects. There is no good reason to change that unless you really need to save it somewhere else. One thing to be aware with projects, translation memories, and glossaries is not saving them in a synced folder, automatically synced folders like Dropbox, OneDrive, Google Drive, and you have to pay a lot of attention because nowadays OneDrive, for example, is pushing all the time to back up all of your folders, and there is a serious problem if you there can be serious problems if you save your translation memories, for example, in a synced folder, because there can be a conflict that can damage your translation memory. So make your backups separately, but while you work with WordFast Pro, make sure that it's not inside a folder that is synced automatically to avoid these conflicts that can damage your databases. Uh, then you select the source and target languages. Here I'm translating from English into Brazilian Portuguese. And then you create or add a translation memory and a glossary. Those are optional things. You can create a project without them, but those are the most basic features of any CAT tool. So you probably will want to work with the translation memory and a glossary. Otherwise, you are using WordFast only as an editor translation editor. Since it's my first translation, I have to create a translation memory. Again, naming, I won't spend too much time on naming criteria because you will have your own. I will just put TM1 English to Portuguese Brazil. And then it's going to use the same source and target language as the project. And the default location, I had changed the default location. I will go back to the default. It's in your users folder, you have a Wordfast Pro folder and a memories folder. This is the default. Again, if you don't have a very good reason, don't change that. Even to avoid accidents like saving in a synced folder and causing corruption. Uh, okay, and the same for glossary. I will create one, Glo1 English to Portuguese. And the default is also C, users, my user folder, Wordfast Pro, glossaries, and that's it. Okay. This is the default. It was different because I had changed it and forgot to change it back to the default. But in your case, when you open Wordfast Pro for the first time, this will be the default, and unless you have a very good reason, don't change those defaults. Then create project. Project is an organizer in which you set the configuration and the resources that you're going to use. And usually it corresponds to a job you are working on. But some people prefer to have projects for one project per client or one project per language pair. You can organize your stuff in different manners, but the default rationale in Wordfast Pro is to have one project per job, one project per translation project that you are working on. So I will open the file. I open the project and I open the file. Let me just disable one thing I remember having enabled, and I don't want it from the beginning. So this is the translation editor. You're going to work on an environment like this. You can see a preview of your translation on the left, on the right side. And in the center, you see the translation table in which you type your translation on the right side. So how to create a document in Microsoft Word, como criar documento. There are some items that are auto-completed as proper names, for example. And so I type my translation and press Alt down or click the next segment button. This is the thing you do all the time. So for each segment, you type your translation and press Alt down or click the next segment button. Some people don't like shortcuts, but for one thing that you will do all the time, it's good to remember the shortcut and to use it. So now I translate the second segment. Obrigado por visitar twoobjects.com. Now, when there is a formatting in the entire segment, like the first segment was all in bold, Wordfast will reproduce the same formatting in the target. Here in the second segment, I have to apply bold because it's only in some words, only in a part of the segment. So I can apply it with Control B or using the formatting tab to click the bold button. Now, the third segment, every time I pressed Alt down, my translation was sent to the translation memory, and the next segment was opened, and the program would check against my translation memory to see if anything had already been translated there. So this time it found that I translated before in my life, any time in my life. I translated something that was 78% similar to this sentence I'm translating now. And I translated like this, como criar documento no Microsoft Word. Uh, at the bottom in the TM lookup pane, I can see what changed. The changes are highlighted. So I can come here and edit accordingly edit my translation accordingly. Hoje vamos ver como criar. And the punctuation at the end is different too. Okay, so this is uh, translation memory at work. Now I will seize the opportunity to add document and documento to my glossary. I click this add term button here or press Ctrl Alt T for terminology to add the term to my glossary. You saw first I selected both document and documento, and then when I click, it's already the terms are already there. There is a description field here, but it's optional. So from now on, every time document appears in my source segment, I will see it highlighted and I will see it in the terminology pane down here. Now, you see in the next segment, for example, there is document and it was highlighted. So I can double click on the terminology pane to insert it, or I can start typing it so that it auto completes as the proper names and numbers and some other things. Ok? Criando um documento quando você ou ao abrir Word. Não, abra o Word no seu computador. Again, if I want to add computer, for example, to my glossary, if it's an important term in my translation jobs, I can select and click here or press Ctrl Alt T and it's there. Now, again, document was autocomplete. Oops. So, and at each segment, I am pressing Alt down to go to the next segment. Okay, and to confirm the first one and send to my translation memory. So don't use the mouse. Some people use Wordfast for a long time and notice that the translation memory is not working. Nothing is being suggested, even if it's repeated. And the reason is they never learned that they should not use the mouse to move from one segment to the other. It's important to use the correct shortcut so that the translation is sent to the translation memory, is confirmed, and the next segment is checked against the translation memory for previous translations. Now you see when I translated the sixth segment, it was auto-propagated to segment 12 because it's a repetition. When there are repetitions inside the same document, inside the same file or the same project, they are propagated automatically once you translate the first instance. And the same will happen here with comece a digitar no seu novo documento. Once I confirm with Alt down, it's going to propagate to the repetitions. Okay. Now I have an 87% match, fuzzy match. So I just have to edit And you see method one is in italics, the entire segment, so it automatically reproduced the formatting for me. Okay, so this is the basic default functionality. As long as you activate a translation memory and a glossary, you configure a translation memory and glossary. But instead of having the blank segment to insert your translation from scratch, you may want to enable in preferences this button here, or pressing F9 opens the preferences dialog. You can go there and activate machine translation. There are several options, but they are paid options. You have to have an API for those services. But WordLingo is an option that will work out of the box with no need to adding an API. So once you do that, and you also have to check this option, allow all unedited segments in active document to be leveraged with MT. Okay. Actually, if you don't, the machine translation will be displayed only here in the TM lookup pane. But if you check that option, it's going to be inserted in your translation directly. Then you can edit it more quickly. So here, click na guia arquivo. That's Brazilian Portuguese. The machine translation was into European Portuguese. No canto superior esquerdo. Okay, the rest of it is correct. So next segment, selecionar novo no menu arquivo. So you see, now I am working, editing machine translation provided by WordLingo. Sorry, I should have done this. If I disable my webcam, I think you can see the screen I'm sharing will be a bit bigger for you. I think it's better. So now I'm editing the MT provided by WordLingo. Now, segments 12 and 13 are repetitions from my translation memory. Segment 14 is a 100% match. Even though I have never translated method 2, I translated method 1 before. And since the difference is just a number, Wordfast will replace and serve 100% match. Then, next segment, machine translated. I add it to Brazilian Portuguese. Documento em branco. Okay, and then I decide to add blank document and documento em branco to my glossary, so that I have both blank document and document in my glossary. If I ever want to insert any of them, I can start typing, and both possibilities will be displayed. Okay? And I can select with up and down arrow and confirm with enter. And then the last segment is a repetition again. Okay. Now I get to the end of my translation. It asks me if I want to go to the first segment again. Yes. Okay. Then I will review my translation. I can review it. I can proofread by reading this live review pane. And if I need to change anything, I can click on the segment and edit it here. Here I can see better see the context, the formatting of the final document. And then I can use some of the software tools to review it better, to find things that the human eye will have a difficulty to spot. So I can spell check the file here in the review menu. I can click spell check, and then it's very similar to spell checking in Word or similar programs. Yes, in raw. I can ignore. I can add to the. Oh, I will add to the gloss to the dictionary so that it won't bother me again. Okay. Then I can run transcheck, which is another quality assurance tool that will look at, will verify non-linguistic errors, stuff like different punctuation in at the end of the segment, different numbers in source and target that might be mistyped by the translator. Uh, will warn if you are not using the terms of the glossary that you configured, and several other checks. I will just run transcheck here with the default options. Okay. Then it opens a report on your browser. In this case, I see that they are all false positives, spell check errors that we already checked, and white space problems that are not a problem this time. So I can close it here. But if they were really real problems, I could find the segments here. They have a transcheck warning sign on the status column, and then I can go there, see in the transcheck pane what the problem is, and correct it directly in my TXLF editor. Okay. Then, after doing the review steps, one good practice is to hit commit all, because when you edit things, you should press Alt down again or click next segment to confirm the change, to update the segment in your translation memory. But you may forget to do that. And so, in order to be sure that the version on your translation memory is the most up to date, you should click commit all to send everything, update everything in your translation memory again. And once you're done and everything is reviewed and updated, you can go to File and click Save File as Translated to save your translated file. Okay, and then it's saved by default. It's saved with the target language code at the end, okay, as a suffix in the name. You can edit that, but it's a good practice to use that. And so now you see when I open my translation, it's the with the same formatting as the source source document, but with my translation instead of the original text. One thing I forgot to mention in segment 15, there is an important thing. Those are tags. When it's simple formatting like bold, italics, Wordfast will allow you to apply such formatting with buttons or shortcuts, and you will see it on your text. But when it's something more complicated, like a red font color, or highlight color, or a hyperlink, or anything too different, font size, font type, you will have tags that you have to place at the same point of your translation. You can place them in several different ways. You can drag and drop. You can copy and paste. You can use in the translation menu. You have the copy tag button, and the previous and next tag to select the tag you want to insert. So you can do you have a shortcut Alt A, if I remember well, to copy all the tags. You can copy source and with the tags and then replace the text. And if you are using machine translation, usually the tags will be copied okay by the machine translation provider as WordLingo did this time. So you can do it however you want, but the important thing is tags in the source must be in target to reproduce the formatting, and also because the program uses tags to understand the structure of the document, the structure of the file, in order to save the translated file. So it's important to reproduce tags from the source into target. Okay. So this is the basic workflow in Wordfast Pro. Next time you will translate, you can add another document to the same project if you organize your projects like that, one project per client or one project uh, per language pair. Or if you added one document but there are others of the same job, you can just add the files here, or you can create a new project and add the new file to translate. I will add another file, a similar file. It could be in the same project because it's very similar. But suppose it's the same client sending a new job 6 months later, and then you want to create a new project, demo2. Then you can reuse the the previous project. You can reuse a previous project so that you have the same glossary, same translation memory. You don't have to select them uh, all again. But if you don't do that, you probably will not create a translation memory again. You will add a local TM, and then you select the translation memory you want to use. Okay, this is another common mistake in people starting to use CAT tools. They create a translation memory for each job, so it's not a good idea, because it's a very bad idea, because the main idea of translation memories is to reuse previous translations, and this will happen only if you are working with the same translation memory. Now, let me add the file again, create the project. And, okay. Now, very quickly, I showed you the very basics. You can do several other things, like, for example, analyzing the file uh, to know how much of it is already translated, is already in my translation memory, or how much of it is a repetition or an exact match. Okay, I will not analyze the data here, but you can have such a report. You can hit translate all in order to insert everything you already have in your translation memory before starting to work with your translation. Agencies sometimes do that and send a pre-translated file to the translator so that they reuse content from their translation memory and just edit what's necessary. If you translate all while having machine translation activated, you will see the translation memory matches, exact and fuzzy, and the segments that has nothing from that have nothing from the translation memory will be machine translated by the providers that I selected. Then you can go and edit. What else? You have interesting filters here to filter, for example, for fuzzy match segments only, to display only fuzzy match segments. You have a filter to search for, to filter for a specific word or phrase from your document, so that that you can see all of the sentences, all of the segments that contain a specific word, so that you can decide on its translation in a with an overview of the entire document. When reviewing, you can before running spell check, you can go to preferences and change the spell checker. You have different options: Microsoft Office, Handspell, Bing. Before running transcheck, you can go to preferences and change the settings, change the things that transcheck will verify. So for example, you can enable number difference, punctuation difference, copied source, uh, unedited, empty, to check for segments that were emptied and you haven't changed anything. So you may want to check at the end if those segments really didn't need any edits, and so on. And then when you run transcheck, you're going to be warned about such problems. You see here, unedited check, there were 10 segments that were not edited. So it's good to have a look again. Okay. And when you are project manager, you may want to look at the quick tools, because there are several possibilities here for you to process several files at once. For example, analyzing several files at once, or updating your translation memory with several translations sent by different translators. You can do several things in batch mode, with multiple files at once. And um, overall, you can explore the program. You have different environments, and that you can navigate with these buttons on the left. In each environment, you have different menus and different buttons. So it's worth having a look at everything, and try to find things that are interesting to your work. But don't wait until you learn everything to start using the program. You can download the program in demo mode from wordfast.com, and then you can work with it even without a license, with small jobs, with small projects, and then you can really learn how to use it before buying a license. And once you know the basics, once you are already translating with it, and leveraging machine translation, or translation memory glossary, translation memories glossaries, you will be able to learn other things little by little. Okay, this is it now. Sorry, I wanted to use less time so that we had more time for questions. But anyway, we can extend for some minutes so that you can ask questions. Probably if you already sent some questions, Philippe have collected them. Thank you very much, and feel free to ask anything about what I've been showing.
Thank you, Reginaldo. In my mind, I can hear everybody clapping, and we can see some reactions here. So I think everybody enjoyed your presentation. Very clear. It was great. We do have some
Thank you.
questions, and if you haven't written your question, you can try to type it. We'll see how many we can get into. I wanted to go first with a question that comes up very often on the hotline and in the Facebook group. So I think Reginaldo will be happy to answer this one. So let me read that. A question about where to save glossaries and TMs that we create. It is risky to save on the C folder as default because if anything happens to the computer, it is lost. I usually save it in my Dropbox instead. Why is this not recommended? Thanks.
Yeah, it's technical issue that unfortunately there is no solution at present. It's because Dropbox, OneDrive, any of those systems will be syncing your file all of the time. So they need to access your file to sync with their cloud. And Wordfast is updating those files all the time too. For each segment that you press Alt down, it goes there and updates your files. And usually with normal files, what happens is if you are editing something and like two people are editing the same thing in Dropbox, it will create a new file and rename it. But since translation memories are actually folders with system and index files, if Dropbox does that, they can ruin your data. They can there can be a conflict, and I don't know exactly the details, but the thing is, both programs will try to update the file at the same time. They will conflict, and your data can be corrupted. Some people work like that and don't have an accident for a long time because when you confirm your segment, Dropbox or OneDrive is not syncing the file at exactly the same time. But after months or years, once it happens, if the accident happens, you will be very sorry to damage your main database for translations, with which is your translation memory. So best thing is to have a routine of copying, making a backup copy of your translation memories and glossaries into your Dropbox folder, but like once a day or every time you close WordFast Pro. But always work with the copy that is outside of those synced folders. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Reginaldo. Excellent. So another question. How can you import existing translation memories and glossaries that you have created in Wordfast Classic?
Good question. Um, you can do it when you create a project. There are the options to create, add, or import translation memory. And or you can, when your project is already created, you can go to project TM and then click import TM. Both will open the same dialog box in which you can import WordFast TXT TM, which is the default for WordFast Classic, or you can import a TMX file, which is the file you export a translation memory from any CAT tool, including WordFast Classic. It's an exchange format that you can use to transfer your translation memory from one tool to another. Okay.
Great. While we are in this section, how can I edit my glossaries?
You can, during your translation, if you see a problem, no, let me open the other one. Yes. During your translation, you if you see anything that needs to be changed, you can come select the term in the terminology pane and use this button to edit, or this one to remove the term. So it opens the box again for you to edit the term. You can also in the project view, you can go to project terminology, double click the glossary to open the glossary editor. So here you can edit the entries too. Here you can see all of the entries, whereas in while you are translating, you can see only the terms that are in your current segment. Okay.
Thank you, Reginaldo. This will be the last question, which I think would be useful
Okay.
for beginners. If you have started a translation without creating a translation memory or adding a glossary, can you do it in
Mhm.
the middle of the translation, and how to do it?
Uh, Perfect. Yes, if you created the project without a translation memory, or if you created it with a translation memory and you want to add another or remove the first one, if you want to change those settings anyhow, you just have to go to current project and project TM menu. The same for glossaries. You can click project terminology, and then here you can add, remove, modify if you want to change the name, for example, the display name of your translation memory. And but basically here you're going to, if you need to add one, you just click add TM and select the translation memory folder. One technical detail is projects, translation memories, glossaries are not saved as a single files on your computer. They are saved as a folder. It's a folder with technical files, with Wordfast files that you should not mess around with. You just select the folder from inside Wordfast Pro, but you don't go to that folder to edit directly. You add the folder to your translation memory configuration. Okay, and that's it. In one more thing, another thing that you can use is, in addition to local translation memories, you can connect to remote translation memories if your client, your a translation agency sends you a link. You can connect to remote translation memories to share in real time. So there are zillions of possibilities, really, but you can depart from the basics and learn more and more, little by little. So was this the last one?
Yeah, yeah. Maybe if you can clarify your concept before we go. How does auto propagation work? Not to,
Uh,
mix it up with any other function.
the auto propagation when you have repetitions.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Basically, if the repetition happens inside the same document, the same file, once you translate the first instance, they will be copied to the other instances. If it were in a different file, they would come as 100% matches because they are in the translation memory. The effect is just the same, but the difference is that when it's in the same file, they are copied right away from one segment to the other, without even passing through the translation memory. But once you get to the repeated segment, They are in your translation memory as 100% matches, but they were propagated by just copying from one segment to the other because they were in the same document. There are configurations for that in all in the preferences, in general preferences, auto propagation. You can enable or disable this feature, and you can decide what will be replaced by this auto propagation, what will be overwritten by this auto propagation. There are the default items, but you can check or uncheck what you prefer. Because by default, for example, if there is a machine translation, but then I edit the first instance of that machine translation, the second instance will be replaced with my translation. The machine translation will be replaced by my translation. So that's a default behavior. But if you don't want it to behave like that, you can change in preferences. Preferences is a place to explore. It's a big universe of possibilities. It's good to have a look at each part of it to see all that's possible to change in your preferences and find what's important for you, what can help you in your specific work. Okay,
Well, thank you, Reginaldo. That was great. No doubt,
thank
for
you.
beginners, yeah, for beginners, I think this was amazing. I've seen many messages thanking you for the presentation and also
Great,
for answering the questions. So thank you very much, Reginaldo.
thank you.
And if
Okay,
you have
thanks
missed
everybody
something,
for coming.
if you have missed something and you wanted to see that again, well, everything is fine because you will be able to see that on YouTube. This webinar that we have had now will be posted in a while. You know, we need to get it ready to be able to be uploaded to YouTube, and then it will be on YouTube for you to watch as many time as you want. So you will be able to do that. And if you want to learn more about WordFast tools, they keep evolving. There's a new one that is being prepared, and there will be a presentation. So next time, if you want to register for the next free webinar that we'll have, it will be presented by Yves Champollion, our CEO, and the theme is Plus Tools Next Generation. So the new tool that will be presented to you is called Plus Tools, and you will see it's full of surprises and it can enable you to do many interesting things while translating and also to handle your translation memories, your glossaries, many nice things. So be sure to be there for that next one. And I want to thank everybody. Thank Karina for preparing these webinars, and for all the team, and to you again, Reginaldo, for doing this great presentation. Bye to you all, and thank you for
Thank you
coming.
for all the help, Philip, and thanks everybody. Bye bye.
Pleasure.